Hi guys, it's Abby with the Bead Place and beadplace.net, and today I'm going to show you how to make these fun terrarium necklaces. You'll need a variety of tools, and you can actually pretty much use anything for your tools, but I'll talk to you about them as we go along. So you can either purchase the kit on our website, or you can use a little glass bottle. They come in a variety of sizes, and it's just kind of whatever you want to work with. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take the cork off of my bottle and pour my beads in. So if we think about a potted plant, usually at the bottom we're going to put some rocks or pebbles or something, and that's going to help the water basically collect at the bottom so that your plant doesn't have too much water. So I have some beads at the bottom, just kind of decorative, so that the water doesn't collect. So my next step is I'm going to create a filter for my bottle, and how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take a Kleenex and I'm going to basically deply the Kleenex. So just take a tissue and separate the two little sections, and that's going to give a thinner piece of paper that we'll use to stop the soil from falling down into the crystals or your beads. So I've separated that. So I'm going to trace my bottle on the Kleenex. So I'll set the Kleenex down and just take any type of marker. And I'm just going to do a little series of dots around the outside, and that's going to help me know how big to cut the little paper. Great. So we'll take some scissors and we're going to cut this out just a hair smaller than what we would normally do when we're cutting something out that's traced. So it will fit on the inside of the bottle nicely. So I'm cutting. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to look transparent basically once we put it on the inside of the bottle and get the dirt on the inside. So we're just going to cut around in a circle and be very careful that you don't tear it when you're cutting it. Once you get the basic shape out, you can kind of refine it a little bit. So I'll cut off my little rough edges. And helps if you have sharp scissors too. So this is my circle. So what I'm going to do is poke that down on the inside of the bottle. You can use your fingers, or you can use like a poker. I have a double-pointed knitting needle here that I'm going to use to help kind of stick it down. And it might help to wet it as you stick it down. So I have just a cup of water here, and I'm also working with a straw that I've cut. So I'm just going to basically stick the end of the straw in to the water and stick my finger over the straw like this. And that's going to collect a little bit of water. So I can just drop a little bit into the vessel, and that's going to help the paper to stick down to the beads a little bit better. So another tool that you could use is a pencil. So you can use the pencil to kind of push the paper down, and that's going to create like a layer so that when we put the dirt in, it doesn't make the crystals look gross. So I have a thing of potting soil here. You could use any kind of dirt, doesn't really matter. So I'm going to scoop some out, and it helps to use your fingers. I know your fingers are going to get gross, but that's okay. Dirt is not going to hurt you. So if you have big chunks of the soil, take the big chunks out. Just use the fine soil, and it's okay if it makes a mess. Just kind of poke it down in, and try to get as much as you can in the little bottle. Then what we're going to do is pack the soil in. So we're going to use the back side of your pencil and just press the soil down and try to get as much soil off of the walls of the terrarium as you can, but it's okay if some of it sticks to the walls of the terrarium. So see how the little filter paper kind of stopped a lot of the dirt from falling down into the crystals? That is the goal. So I'm going to put a little bit more dirt in, and I'll use some from the table. And I'm going to pack it down. So I'm going to do a little bit of a variety when it comes to what I'm going to put into my terrarium. You can use little succulent looking plants. You can use tree moss, something like that. You could do a variety. Like this one has some, I believe it's alyssum growing in it. Let me focus here so you can see a little bit better. There we go. So it has some alyssum, tree moss, and then down at the bottom, right there, you can see that there's lichen. But you can do whatever you want. So just kind of whatever fits in your bottle, actually. So I'm going to get a little teeny tiny piece of tree moss right here. And it helps if you wet it, so I'm just going to gently submerge it in the water. And then I'm going to kind of use my double-pointed needles like they are, whoops, like they're chopsticks almost. And you can use tweezers if tweezers fit down into your bottle, but if your bottle has a finer neck, then you obviously need to use something else like the double point needles. So I'm going to pick this up and just kind of place it down into my terrarium. So you can very gently pack it down. You can use the pencil for that, or whatever else you might have that doesn't really damage the plant too much. And I am also going to put some seeds in. So how I get the seeds is, or how I plant the seeds is I'm going to take a pointy thing. You can use whatever you want. You could use a pencil and just kind of almost dig a hole, just kind of press downward in the dirt. Then I'm going to wet the edge of my, or the very end of my stick. I'm going to dip my stick into a seed packet. So here's a seed packet. I'm just going to dip it in, and that's going to get some of the seeds on the end of the stick, hopefully. Might take a few tries. So as you can see, I have a few, well, maybe you can see. Let me try to focus. Well, it's not going to focus on something that small, but if you believe me, I have some seeds on the end of my stick here, and I'm going to just basically place those into the little hole that I dug with the poker tool. So you can kind of gently twist to lift them off and press some of the dirt down into that little hole so that it covers it and protects the seeds so they can start to grow. So you can obviously plant whatever else you'd like, but I'm going to show you how to put a fun little creature down into your terrarium. So I have a little cat bead here, and I have a head pin. I'm going to put the head pin through the cat bead so that the head is at the top. So I'm going to bend this directly out, so it's like that. And I'm going to take my round nose pliers. Let me kind of get everything out of the way here. I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and I'm going to grab at the very bottom, and I'm going to start to kind of make like a spiral like you would normally see in lawn ornaments so that it can dig down into the dirt. So just grab and make a cute little spiral. So once you have a couple spirals around like that, you can trim the tail end off. and straighten it out if you need to, which I need to. And make sure that your spiral doesn't get longer than the amount of soil that you have, because that is not going to make it easy to plant your little creature down in. So what I'm going to do is use tweezers. I have some bent nose tweezers here. You can use anything that fits down into the neck of your bottle. And I'm going to just kind of put it down inside, and then I'm going to twist the bottle. It's a lot easier to twist the bottle than to try to twist the creature down into the dirt. So just twist the bottle, and it's going to kind of press the animal down in. Helps if your dirt is packed. So, might take a few tries, but you'll get it. Kind of screw it down in, and then you can kind of twist your creature around so that he's facing the right direction. And you want it to kind of be as upright as possible. So if you need to pack more dirt around it or add more dirt, or I should say soil, you can probably tell that I don't know much about gardening. There we go, now he's facing the right way. So if you need to pack more soil around it, you can just pick a little bit up and sprinkle it down in, and then use whatever you have to pack the dirt around it so it sits upright more. So we have that so far. Let me focus. There we go. Pretty cute, huh? So if you have some dirt around the outside of the terrarium, like I do, you can kind of clean that off. Just get your Kleenex and rip a little piece off of it. You can use your tweezers and kind of grab the little bunch of Kleenex there, and you can use that to help you kind of clean the inside of the terrarium so that you can better see through it. As the terrarium dries a little bit, some of the soil will want to fall down off of the walls, so don't worry if you have a bunch sticking to the terrarium walls, it'll be okay. So, our next step is to turn it into a necklace. So how we're going to do that is we're going to need to pierce the cork and string a head pin through it. So the easiest way to do that is to get a very long head pin and to get your cutters and cut the very edge and the very end of the head pin so that it's at an angle. So see how I'm cutting this at an angle? And you can see it's a little sharper. Like that. So we're going to try really hard to pierce through the very middle, like this. And it might help if you use your pliers to help you push it through. So you're going to push it all the way through. And mine's not perfectly centered, but that's okay. So, looks like that. You can string on some decorative beads if you'd like. I'm going to string on a little swarovski rondell and a little spacer bead. Then we're going to do a closed strap loop. So we're going to take your chain nose pliers and grab right at the tip, bend the wire into a right angle. We're going to grab the round nose pliers and grab right in the bend like this, and make your loop big enough so that it can fit over whatever kind of chain you're putting it on. Bend the wire up around the top and down, so it's going to look like that. Then bring the wire around to the other side, so it looks like that. And then we're going to spiral downwards towards the beads so that it secures it. And once it's tight, what we can do is trim the tail end off and straighten your loop if need be, which I need to. There we go. And put the cork on, and you have a fun little terrarium necklace. So basically this needs little to no care. If you see that your plants that you've put in are starting to grow taller than they should, just trim it down a little bit, or if you haven't kept your terrarium in sunlight long enough, or if you left it in the closet like I did a couple days ago and you killed the plant, just kind of pick it out and put a new seed in or put some moss in. The moss seems to be a little bit hardier. And especially the lichen, since it's already growing on a tree, basically, that is going to be a lot easier to care for. So the moisture can't really pass through the cork, but the oxygen can, so your plants are going to grow and not need a lot of attention. If you see that the dirt is getting too dry, you can take the lid off and either spray with a mister or get a cup and do the straw technique that I showed a little bit earlier. Get a little bit of water in the end of a straw and just almost kind of just drop some down in and shake it around a little bit. If you have too much moisture in it, you'll see a lot of condensation on the glass, and if in that case you can just leave the cork off for a little while and then put it back on and you'll be fine. So we have a bunch of fun little terrarium necklaces now. So thanks for watching. Bye.